All right, today we're going over exactly what I would do if I just started working out. The ultimate beginner's guide. Really, it's if I could go back in time and talk to my younger, dumber self. Let's get after it. Well, first things first, I have to sit myself down and have the patience talk. Hey there, little buddy. I know what you're thinking. Pool season is right around the corner, or maybe you got a date this weekend and a woman may or may not touch your penis, and you're worried she's got to navigate past your chubby little stomach, and she could get distracted and end up finger banging your belly button for a half hour instead. But just know, if you want to make a lasting change and make working out a part of your life, you got to be consistent and you got to have patience, which is a hard thing to hear, especially when you're first starting out, because no matter how you train, those first 4 to 6 weeks are mostly neuromuscular adaptation. So your strength's going to go through the roof, but in terms of muscle mass, dismal gains. But you still got to take those progress pictures and then look at them and say, fuck my life. But know that you're on the right track and everybody has to go through it and you're actually making progress. And another thing I try to hammer into my younger, dumber self is that when it comes to putting on muscle, the goal is not to win at all costs. And I'm sure you've done this yourself, or at least seen somebody do this, because when somebody's new to the gym, they're in an all-out war with every single rep because they think growth lies at the top of each contraction. So they'll bounce the weight off their dick, they'll dry hump it up, they'll do whatever it takes, use every other muscle but the one they're trying to actually hit to get the job done. When in reality, you're just flexing that muscle against resistance. Whether you're holding a weight or working against a machine, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You're just contracting that muscle. I can't tell you how many years I wasted trying to move weight instead of focusing on the contraction. The day you figure out how to stay in the movement and let that muscle you're trying to hit fail is the day you're going to start making some serious progress. Another thing I do is teach myself how to be efficient. We all did this. We spent 3 hours in the gym. We hit every body part twice. And the only reason we'd leave is because our blood sugar would drop. As you get older, you realize you can get the same amount of results in half the time. If I had to recommend a split for myself, I would just say do whatever you enjoy, because there's even splits now that I wouldn't be consistent with. Like a 3-day split, those workouts end up being so long. One day's a chest, shoulders, triceps. By the time you get to triceps, you're like, fuck you. But I will say it's important for new trainees to get as much time as possible with each individual muscle, because let's say you start with a push-pull legs routine. You might only have one movement that entire week that exclusively targets those lats. And for most people, that's a tough muscle to connect with. So it could take you 4 or 5 weeks before you figure out actually how to fire those lats. But let's say instead you just took one day and hit your lats from every single different angle, every movement you can think of. I guarantee by the end of that day, you know how to engage those lats. And I've seen some people recommend starting with 5x5s, but to me, that's crazy because you'll probably die. Your form is going to be complete shit, because even now, it would take everything in me not to screw up that form, because if you're going to fail at 5 reps, you have to move some serious weight. And when you're brand new, it would probably break you. So I would start with a higher rep range, 15, 20 reps, figure out how to fire that muscle. And if you want to move on to something else, you can. But at least at that point, you'll understand how to contract each individual muscle, and then you can go from there. Another thing I tell myself is don't focus on your strengths, bring up your weaknesses, because everybody's going to have 1 or 2 body parts that outpace the rest, and they're going to whisper in your ear, hey, I know it's leg day, but fuck it, let's train arms again. Any experienced lifter will tell you they'd rather have a perfectly symmetrical physique that's a little bit smaller than having 1 or 2 freakish body parts, because it might sound good, but you'll look like an asshole. I'll never forget, I got a job at a bar when I was younger, and I saw that the bartender was jacked. I remember looking at him going, same, getting all excited, until at the end of his shift, he walked out from behind the bar. I couldn't even hold it back. I just said, what the fuck? His legs look like 2 little baby dicks. And if the conversation turned to nutrition, I would just slap myself, because I was the Michael Scott of carb loading. And that's not even a joke. One time I went to Olive Garden before I worked out and got the never-ending pasta and breadsticks. I've never had more of a painful pump after one set and then violently shit for 2 hours in my life. If I had to simplify macros for my younger self, I would say focus on hitting your protein needs for the day and then adjust your other macros based upon what you actually need, not with that little fatty deep down inside wants. And if you want a nice little reminder that you can leave on the home screen of your phone that'll keep you in check, just write down, you're always fatter than you think you are. So as a beginner, no matter what you do, you're definitely going to make some mistakes. But if you have patience, you find a routine you love, you can be consistent with, and you really focus on connecting with the muscle, and you don't bullshit yourself, you're going to make some serious progress. And if you haven't got a chance to check out the program, I'll link it below. It'll definitely jumpstart that mind-muscle connection. Also, if you haven't seen these 2 videos, I'd watch those next. But most importantly, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and get after it, get growing. Talk to you soon.